What's going on, Mad Hatters, and welcome back to the Madhouse. And in the house today, we have a super special guest. If you haven't figured it out yet, it's JDRR, the Purple Sensei himself, has come to do a gameplay commentary with me, and we're talking all about BLURPLE. We're going to go into the deck list I run, and then we're going to talk tech options on how you might want to make the deck work with your local set champs meta. So we do curtail a lot of the video for that, but then we get into a best of 3 against green purple, and JD, he kind of walks me through it, the gameplay commentary, and hey, you could have done this better to win, faster or better, so on and so forth. But I hope you guys enjoy the video. Remember, if you want, take this as an opportunity. If you have a question for JD in regards to Purple Steel or BLURPLE, thoughts on some tech options or whatever, use this as an opportunity. Put it in the comments. Let me know your question you'd like to ask him, and I will personally relay the question. I will get you an answer. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the video. Let's jump into it. What's going on, John? How is it going?
It's going, and glad to be back. It's been a couple months, I think, since set 6 that last time I was on.
Yeah, we did BLURPLE and Purple Steel for that one. You gave us a lot to think about against some red purple, and I felt confident enough that I even went on to take BLURPLE into my next set champs with like only 3 games. So I thought, what an amazing opportunity to have you on again, man.
Oh, I'm glad to be back. A lot has changed. Yeah. Well, at least for BLURPLE, at least, not Purple Steel, but a lot has changed in the last since set 6. So everything in set 6 is well, not to say everything, but a lot of it is a little outdated. So.
Oh yeah, I think, well, we're going to get into it in a second, but yeah, we're definitely playing things a little bit differently here, playing more of those, well, we were just talking about in the Discord, right, of kind of all of BLURPLE cards are just good, so we're playing those high-end BLURPLE cards and just, well, drawing a lot, winning a lot, and just having a good time while we do it. Real quick, though, we're going to talk about the list, but I do have to throw this out here. Guys, remember, JDRR, he is the founder of the Flower Farm, an ICL team now as well, an amazing Discord with a bunch of top-notch players, and he does do coaching as well as he has his free guide. And I just want to point out, almost 2,300 students. Did you realize you had that many people that have downloaded your guide now?
Not really. So
that's pretty wild. I don't
look at it because the guide's free, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's 100% free. So why not, right? And even if you guys don't want to play BLURPLE, go check it out, right? If anything, it's going to help you play into BLURPLE a little bit better. But if you want to play BLURPLE and you haven't seen the guide, go check it out. But let's jump into the list, and here is the list that I ran for the video itself. It's normally a 2-liner. I just, instead of 8 cards wide, it's 7 cards wide, but running 4s of everything. So in this list, let's talk about the big thing that's different from set 6. And in set 6, we were running, what, 10 1-drops, I think? So why have we
I think it was like 11.
11. So why have we kind of gone away from that?
Well, you don't have to. But with set 7, it introduced a new way to play the deck because the blue bell, whatever apprentice inventor, I think it's called, that kind of changed how decks function. Also, the meta shift in set 7 also changed how a lot of the decks operate. So what happened really in set 7, the biggest thing was Hiram got banned, right?
Yes.
And so the reason why everyone ran the cantrips, like the 1-cost cantrips and rabbits in purple decks, was because you needed all the 1-drops to get under the control decks, specifically red blue in the early game, so that you can just get that extra lore, right? And then you also ran rabbits so that you can grind with Hiram, because a lot of decks can't actually deal with Hiram, right? Apart from Brawl. Yeah, right. Correct. So if you didn't play a red deck, if you didn't play Brawl, you couldn't deal with Hiram immediately. So Hiram basically always drew 4 cards. So the only way you could grind with them is to play rabbits, right? So that you can just keep grinding and drawing cards with them. Otherwise, your draw engine was just like, inferior for the most part. But Hiram got banned. So then well, that opened a lot of things up because now there's no control deck that you have to go under and aggro them out. You don't need to grind out the blue decks anymore because they don't have Hiram anymore. So they don't have like an infinite draw engine. So that basically gave the deck, what was that, 4, 8, like 20 slots back that you can use for other things.
Yeah, yeah. So
And then the other thing, a lot of the decks were not very aggro. Right, they weren't very, like, there wasn't, like, set 7 wasn't a very aggro meta. It was like a very heavy mid-range kind of meta, right? And so you didn't really need to play 1-drops in set 7 just because there was no one trying to aggro you. And I think that was partly because there was no more red decks, or there wasn't a control deck in the meta, so no one was trying to get under you. So even like a lot of the purple decks, even green purple at one point went down to like 8 1-drops, and usually they run like 12 if not more, right? So that really just became like a more heavy mid-range meta. So that's why you could disrespect all the aggro, right? Because you didn't need, you know, there wasn't any. Then comes set 8. Well, obviously aggro got some new toys, new tools with like Lady and stuff like that. And yeah, like they can definitely put out a lot of lore pressure early without the 1-drops, right?
Yeah.
So playing 1-drops would help in that matchup specifically, but aggro right now isn't that in that great of a spot anyway. Like after week 1, I think when Kurt won with even Kurt's build for Amber Steel aggro wasn't even that much aggro.
Yeah,
right. So
the
it's just like
hole
you
variant.
can. Yeah, exactly. Because like, I mean, you know, like the weakness for the pure aggro decks is that they literally can't win on the draw against anything.
Yeah.
Right. Which is its biggest weakness, biggest flaw. So like and on the play, like no matter, even if you play 1-drops or not, you probably are not going to win.
Yeah.
Like truth be told, right? If they high roll you, you're dead anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like if they go like Cinderella turn 1 and then go like 2 daisies on turn 2 and then Lady into a Smee or a Piglet, like it doesn't matter. You play 1-drops, you're dead. Like there's no shot, right? So if you're winning on the play without 1-drops and losing on the draw if they have it, what's the point?
Yeah.
Right. Because now you know, you fill your deck with like 10 to 12, I don't want to say bad cards, but like they're very bad to draw into later on in the game. Like when you draw like a Chernobog or a Magic Broom, like when you have like 10 ink, you're like, what am I doing with this card?
Yeah. No, I feel that. And yeah, I mean, it did feel really bad, you know, in that set when you draw. You're at the end of the game. You really need one of these big hitters, these big questers, and you draw a Chernobog's followers. And it's like, well, yeah, what do I do? They're gonna banish it before I can draw. At least with Broom, you could cantrip it, but even then, you know, you need another character to be able to do that. So yeah, I like it. And you know, I brought up on the screen some of the tech options that we've seen in other people's decks that they've been running, things that we've talked about in the Discord. And you know, my list that I'm running for this video, it's all 4 of everything. You know, the 4 of Ana, that magical mission. But another thing that we've played a lot with is this Monstro Infamous Whale. So if we're looking at tech options and we're looking at, you know, set champs where you generally know what everybody's playing, when might you want to go, you know, the 4 ofs everything with like the Anas, or just throw in a Monstro or an Elsa? Is there ever a world you throw in 1-drops and crabs? What do you got? What's your advice?
So if your meta is like all aggro, then I would definitely add like the 10 to 12 1-drops just because it's going to help you that much more. Well, and the crabs too. It's going to help you that much more against the aggro decks, right? If that's all you're playing, because the 1-drops really sacrifice your matchups into like all the shark decks, into the purple decks, into discard, like pretty much everything else. The 1-drops are kind of worse into, right? But except aggro, right? So if it literally is all aggro, then yeah, like definitely add the 1-drops and crab back in because that's going to help you a lot. And the thing about Ana and Monstro is like I've been back and forth between these 2 cards all set because they are very good, they're also very like specific and niche at the same time.
Yeah.
So there was a point where there was like no Steel Song, like traditional, inside 8.
Okay.
So when there wasn't any traditional, like there was no need for Monstro because like what are you using Monstro on?
Yeah. Okay. No, and that's a
Right?
good
Like
point.
there well, and there are also no locations. Like there
Mm-hmm.
was a very little DKP red blue up until this weekend, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, there wasn't very many. So that's why in your list or some of the lists I had posted in Flower Farm, like there was no Monstros.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Ana is just it's just like a how can I say it? It's it's like Maui Shark esque,
Mm-hmm.
where when you play Maui Shark, it doesn't do anything. You play on, it doesn't do anything, but the pressure that the card, um, I guess, puts on your opponent is big because,
Mm-hmm.
like, if Maui Shark is on the board, your opponent's like, well, I need to get rid of it because I can't do anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Same thing with Ana. It's like if you don't remove Ana, then Elsa is coming next turn, most likely, if
Mm-hmm.
it's not already on the board. And then that engine just kind of drowns your opponent out because like you play Elsa, you exert with Ana, you draw a card, you take something out, whatever you want with Elsa because Elsa's a 5/5 now, and most things she won't die to in return.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're at 8 ink, you can even Fox bounce the Elsa back, and then you can do it again
Yeah.
next turn,
Yeah.
right? So it just becomes this like this machine where it's just like they need to get rid of Ana or the game snowballs like incredibly out of control.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say she's Maui Shark-esque because both cards don't do anything on the play or when played. They don't do very much when they're behind, but they apply a lot of pressure where your opponent has to respond to it and can't just leave it on the board. As opposed to something like, I don't know, Tamatoa,
Mm-hmm.
right? The 6 cost one.
Yeah.
You could leave it on the board. It'll quest, you play a popsicle for free. Like, okay, sure. Right? Like, you don't, sure. Right? It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because like with Tamatoa, the damage is already done when you play it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Ana is just like the longer stays on the board, the more value she gets.
Yeah.
And if you can't get rid of her, and her stats are very good, like a 6 health. So like, into steel,
Phenomenal.
you can't really get rid of her very
Yep.
easily, right? You can't Zeus it. It's pretty awful.
Mm-hmm.
Even into like all the shark decks, you play Ana the turn they play shark, and then or even the turn they're going into the shark, they're like, well, I can't really put down my shark because they can just Elsa and hit it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like what a lot of the shark players have been doing is that okay, I'm gonna play my shark, you go Hades me, but like then they use that ramp to their advantage because for DKP red blue, for example, when they get to 11 ink, they just hard cast B prep manner, and then like you have to respond to that manner and B prep every turn, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Right. So like Hadesing their shark gets them there that much faster without them having to ink. Or against red purple is even worse. You get them to 9 like almost the next turn, and then they can start like hitting you with like Peter Pan shark
Yep.
like immediately.
And then it's
Right. So it's just like it's over.
yeah, it
If
is.
you let the
It
shark
is.
like let the shark get an action back, right? Especially if they get back like friends or finders or like how far I'll go or visions or something like that. It's like literally over.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't give the shark value. So I was like, well, how can we combat this, right? And Ana came up. So like this is one of my favorite cards of the set when she was revealed.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to make her work at the beginning of the set, but I was just doing it wrong. Like I didn't treat her like a shark. I was treating her more like Merlin Crab, like a reactive card, but she's really not a reactive card. And that was my mistake, which is why I was like, this card is not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But after changing the approach and the strategy, I was like, okay, yeah, I play her, the turn the shark comes out, and then I can just answer every shark without using Hades. Then I can use Hades on other things that are important as well. Because otherwise, Hades is just working overtime in this deck.
Yeah.
Like you have the Hades everything, and you just don't have enough Hades all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. So that's kind of how Ana came into fruition, right? Because it's just good into those 2 decks. Monstro, like I mentioned earlier, it's good into Steel Song. Like if you high roll me with Steel Song when I'm playing you, like it doesn't matter, I'm dead anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But the games you don't high roll me, like at 8 ink, you have to respect Monstro. And if you wheel me, it's like you're probably gonna wheeled into a Monstro. So it's just like you better be careful about questing because you could just lose everything.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yep. I mean, and
Right.
that's been the
Right. I'm sure you've had it happen at least once to you.
Oh, 100. Like I'm lucky enough that I get to read the Flower Farm all the time. Because now when I do wheel or when I use a whole new world against Blurple, I can't quest my entire board anymore, knowing that Monstro could very well come down and I can't afford to have all my characters cleared because then you just lose. Like that's it. So
Right.
Monstro
Right.
against Wheel Song is phenomenal. So what do you
Right.
think?
And locations.
And locations, yes, yes, definitely against
Right,
locations.
because the issue, like I was talking earlier, the DKP Red Blue, where they go B prep manner, and it's like I can't answer the manner because all you
Mm-hmm.
had was a fox in your deck,
Yeah.
right? Then now you
No.
have
Wow.
Monstro. You just hit it, you play it, you hit it, you discard a card, like one card,
Yep.
it clears manner, right? So it's like it's very hard for them to actually stick a manner and get lore off the manner now too, just because Monstro can just
Mm,
whack it, right? So like it's like well, yeah, so it gives like the deck a very different element
it
with Ana
does.
and Monstro. Yeah.
So if so, both cards really good against red blue. If I'm going into a meta like a local set champs, and I know that let's say 30% of my matchups, 30% of the room is going to be red blue, a DKP shark. Do you recommend a 2-2 split, or do you think just
At
maximizing the
least.
Ana at least a 2-2?
At the very least 2-2. At the
Okay.
very least. Right? If not more. Some people have
Mm.
gone like 3-3 on both, but you have to sacrifice other cards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's up to them, right?
Okay.
Personal preference. But
Yeah.
I would not play the deck right now without at least two of these in the deck each.
Oh, okay. I mean, I didn't even when I look at Monstro, and right off the bat, right, huge thing because when I look at Monstro, I think Steel Song Answer. I didn't even think about the fact that he clears a mana in one turn, and it like that's that. I mean, that's huge. With Finders Keepers and Friends, you're always gonna have the card, engine going against Red Blue where they can't, do anything to your hand. So that's huge. That Meanwhile, I was playing for Ana specifically for Red Blue, but that Monstro being that, yeah, that's big. Wow, there we go. So,
Yeah.
well, let's talk about Peter Pan because Peter Pan and Into the Unknown really popular that we see a lot of people trying to slam into
Mm.
Blurple, and I can understand the Peter Pan to an extent because people like to go Peter Pan into Iago the next turn.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Mm-hmm.
Into the Unknown, I've got to say, every time someone's ever used Into the Unknown to me, I wanted to like reach across
They
the
lose.
table and shake their hand and say thank you. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
don't
literally
know.
lose.
Yeah. So why no Peter Pan though? Because Peter Pan Iago, I mean, it's a pretty good turn. Like it's not bad.
No, that's not bad. Like, okay, so Peter Pan is fine. Like, if you are in a meta with a lot of Diablos, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's fine to play like two Peter Pans in your deck. Um, the issue is that you want to, the Blurple wants to ramp 1/2 and play a 4-drop
Correct.
1/3,
Mm-hmm.
not a 3-drop 1/3 and have ink floating, right?
Yes. Yep.
So it does feel a little bad there, but like sometimes when push comes to shove, you still have to play the answer. But
Mm-hmm.
what I found with the way you build Blurple now, which I didn't touch on earlier, is that it's quite good in discard because you don't
Yes.
have 1-drops anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
everything you play is like a big thing.
Yes.
So like if you just go like, Genie and Elsa into Ana or Tamatoa and just like keep dropping like huge bodies that quest for 2 into discard,
Mm-hmm.
like they eventually have to deal with your board, right? And all these characters draw cards on their own, like Ana and Toa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're drawing cards while putting pressure on the board.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't really struggled too much against this card in general.
Mm-hmm.
But if your meta was heavy, green steel or whatever discard Diablo decks, green purple, then yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
feel free to tech into Peter Pan's. But I just think overall, you're making the power level of the deck lower by
Yeah.
playing cards like that because the deck wants to go popsicle 2-drop, ramp 4-drop, and then go 5, 6, 7,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So if you're playing Peter Pan, where does it really fit into the curve
Yeah.
to make it work? And people will argue like, yeah, on 7 you can play Peter Pan Iago. Well, I'm fairly certain that playing Hades is
It's
better
gonna be
than that,
better. Yeah.
right? Which does that
Yeah.
mean? Like you're putting in weaker cards, and you're putting in cards, and other people will say like, well, I can play Peter Pan to at least fight for the board if I miss ramp. yes, you can, but at the same time, it's like you are making, like you are now optimizing the deck for suboptimal openers
Yeah.
when, because you're supposed to open ramp on turn 2 about 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Right? So really, it's like 1 out of every 10 games that that you need this Peter Pan for. So it's just like, I don't think it's worth it, or at least the way I like to play. I don't think it's worth it to build your deck for a suboptimal opener and maximize how good the deck is when you open optimally, that 90%. Because when you open optimally, you almost like, it's almost unstoppable, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think one of the big things for me has always been, yeah, our altar is generally, we're always aiming to get that ramp on two, right? And I think that plus it's just more uninkables that I really just don't care to run when I am playing Blurple, when I'm altering so hard to try and get specific things. So I like it. I mean, I've never been a fan of Peter Pan in the list, um, but yeah, to each their own. If you're running a lot, if you're against a lot of green steel or green purple, maybe it's the card to play. So, and then the last thing I wanted to talk about on here is for a little bit, or you posted a list the other day that had no foxes. What's kind of your thought process in that one?
Well, Fox is something that it's like a utility card.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay against aggro. Like without 1-drops, it's quite a bit worse as well. Like Fox right now is probably the most inked card, and it's probably best at 8 ink when you play Elsa and then you can Fox, or you can Bell and Fox at the same time with 8 ink. But otherwise, like, or you just use it to bounce goats
Mm-hmm.
to close out like a red deck, for example. Um, because like the thing is against aggro, you don't really have a body that sticks to the board. Like you can play Tipo on turn 2, but they just storm it, and then you lost your Fox target, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So if you want to just like full tech and beat like sharks, you can just cut the Fox and just play like 4 Anas and 4 Monstros.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I've been experimenting with,
Okay.
because like I talked about with Peter Pan, yes, Fox, it is good. It is good utility, but it also kind of lowers the power level of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that Fox is absolutely necessary to play anymore unless you're going up against a lot of aggro. If you're not
Okay.
against a lot of aggro, like you can kind of just kind of skip that. Because right now, if you look at the deck and the curve, like when are you playing Fox apart from 8 ink?
I mean, and that's kind of, I mean, that's a really good point, and I think, and we're actually gonna see it. Spoiler. I struggle with inking the foxes in the videos, but I realize, like, when am I ever gonna use it against green purple? When am I even gonna use it against amber steel aggro? Because Fox can't even remove a rhino, right? So yeah, that's,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a really good point of when are we actually using Fox right now, besides closing games out mostly with goats.
Yeah. So I
So.
say it's like a utility card now,
Mhm.
because you without the 1-drops. Because before you could just like ramp on 2 and then you play a 1-drop Fox with 4 ink and just hit something
Mhm.
like the aggro things, but you
Yeah.
can't really do that right now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's true because your one target, the Tipo, like you said, generally gets blown up anyways. If you're playing against Amber
Yep.
Steel, when they have Cindy on turn 1 or Shift Rhino on turn 2, I mean, you just don't want to play Tipo unless you absolutely have to begin with. So, no, really good point.
Exactly.
So, and then finally, Into the Unknown. Well, I guess, and Elsa. So both from Frozen. So I guess the bottom row. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
I'm so clever. So Into the Unknown and
Well,
Elsa.
uh-huh. Okay. Well, I think Elsa 8's still very good.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're in a heavy purple meta or heavy aggro meta, because Elsa can really freeze the board or kind of take over against those decks, because
Mm-hmm.
she's obviously very hard to deal with. Like she quests for 3, and she also stops them from gaining lore, which obviously is important against aggro, right? To slow them
Yep.
down.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, I wouldn't play for Hades if you're in a meta with a lot of aggro. I would probably play more Elsas
Mm-hmm.
in the deck. That's about it for Elsa. I still think it's a solid card. It's
Okay.
just not the best time for it right now until like she's really bad into red.
Yeah, she is. Yes.
Like that's the main reason you don't play her.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes she's really slow, like an 8 cost to just freeze 2 characters and not remove anything. Kind of feels bad sometimes because if you want to remove stuff, you rather play Elsa 5 and then Fox it back and like hit 2 things,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Rather than just Elsa and freeze 2, because you freeze 2, they're still there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like if you compare it to all the other big cards that other decks play, like Sisu 8 cost, it actually gets rid of stuff. Be prepared, things
It-
like that. Like it
yeah.
actually removes stuff and it's like tempo positive, right? Whereas Elsa's not. It's just kind of like stalling.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I mean, that makes sense. It's nice that she can come down on turn 6, and that could be the thing you need to stabilize. But like you said, I think my biggest issue with her is the fact that it's so bad against red, and I despise losing against red. I hate it. It's the worst feeling in the world. So
Exactly.
I'm a little, I'd prefer the Hades, but again, it's like she does come down. She does threaten that. If you do have Fox, you could bounce back both characters. But again, you didn't remove those 2 characters to begin
Hmm.
with, so you just kind of keep doing this, like you said, trying to stall. So I get it. I definitely
Hmm.
get it there. And then finally, Into the Unknown, where our girl Elsa is singing into the crystals. I mean, it's a beautiful enchanted. Why don't I want it in my deck?
I just think that the removal options that we have in the game right now are just better
Mm-hmm.
than Into the Unknown. Just so if you look at it, purple decks don't really have an issue with exerted characters because you have Crab, you have Fox, you can just hit things very easily and
Mm-hmm.
remove it, right? Rather than inking it. Um, so it's like, okay, why sing Into the Unknown when you can just attack the character and be tempo positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the other issue with Blurple is that you have a hard time with ready characters because outside of Elsa 5, like you can't, or Hades, I guess, how else do you hit a ready character?
Yeah.
And Into the Unknown doesn't really hit a ready character, whereas Let It Go does.
Yeah.
So Let It Go is a little bit more flexible. I do know that Let It Go is a 5 cost song. You need a singer 5 versus Into the Unknown, which is singer 3.
Mm-hmm.
But like most of the time that you are singing into the unknown, it's in the mid to late game. And if you are into the mid to late game, you usually have a big body where you can sing Let It Go anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just like when your opponent goes like they play Piglet Smee pass and like the air into the unknown is just kind of sitting there doing nothing in
Yeah.
the late game because
Yep.
you need to stop them from getting to 20.
Yes.
The other thing is like you don't really want to ramp your opponent in the early game because well the whole point of playing blue is to be on the play all the time because you get to ramp, so you're always
Correct.
playing ahead in ink.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just sing into the unknown on your opponent, like especially their shift characters, because that's what everyone says, you can get rid of Diablo, you can get rid of Rhino. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, well yeah, you can sing into unknown, get rid of Rhino on turn 2, and then your opponent's going on 5 ink on turn 3.
Pretty
That's
good.
bad.
Yeah. I'll never forget someone into the unknown to my shift Rhino. I went to 5 ink, so I played Beast, and they're like, "Oh, I got you." They played an Elsa to damage my Beast, so I played a Rapunzel, and
Yeah.
it was so bad for them. It ended so badly. So,
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is like exerted characters, they already did their damage, whether with an
exactly.
ETB
Mm-hmm.
or they already quested for a lot. And then you banish them, and then you give your opponent ink. So it's just like adding insult to injury
Mm-hmm.
because the damage is already done and you're just adding more to it by giving them more ink.
Yep.
Because so what people don't realize is things like Hades and Let It Go into the unknown, if you send things to the inkwell, sure, you can get rid of the card, but giving your opponent ink is like giving them an extra card draw because that
Yes.
is literally an extra card they drew where they could ink,
Yep.
right? That's why I say in the early game it's really bad. In the mid to late game, it doesn't matter anymore because everyone already has ink,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, but yeah, that's really why I'm not a big fan of the card at the moment with the amount of removal we have.
Yeah, no, and I get it, and maybe it'll see its day in Fabled when we might not have Hades. Some of the thing, and it's removal then, right? So I guess we'll kind
Mm-hmm.
of just Well, wait and see, right? It's
We'll
only
see.
only a couple months away. So
Yep.
with that though, we do have the video. So let me bring that up. And for everybody, just want to, you can still see it, right?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. So what we'll do here is get that out of the way. We're gonna watch game one. Game one, I do lose. It's I make well, a couple mistakes. One catastrophic mistake, and looking back on it, I still don't understand what I was thinking when I made it. And then we'll watch game three, because game three, I get stuck on some pretty interesting ink choices that I kind of like to hear your thought process in, and maybe I should have, inked something different. Maybe I should have been more aggressive with getting cards down over drawing. But yeah, going into it completely blind, no idea what my opponent is playing. I am on the draw, and yeah, I think that's kind of
Okay.
the information. So we'll jump into it. Mute this because we don't need to hear my voice. We already hear it. And let's fast forward. Okay, so here's my opening hand here. All right. Oh, that was my after my altar. Let's.
I don't see your screen right now.
You don't see my screen? Okay.
I only see your Canva screen, not the.
Okay. Let's fix it. We go to Discord. Change stream and go here. Bang. There we go. Are we good?
There you go.
Hey, there
Yeah,
we
yeah.
go. All right. All right. So my opening 7.
Okay.
All right. So right off the bat,
Did you say you're on the draw here?
I'm on the draw. Yes. So
Okay.
on the draw, first game, blind. I don't know what my opponent's playing. Looking at the altar, we see no ramp, no bell pop, or no bell, pop combo to go off of. But one thing I do notice, I have 2 of my higher cost on inkables. So immediately I'm feeling pretty safe if I wanted to go with a really heavy altar. Because right now there's really nothing that I kind of want except for that bell. And so
Right.
I think I'm hoping that I alter 6, keeping only the bell. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's 8 inkables in the deck for a reason, is
Mm-hmm.
because you want to be altering 6 to 7 to find turn 2 ramp
Mm-hmm.
every game. So when you're blind, I think if you have bell, I think it's fine to keep, just because right now you just want to protect yourself against aggro when you're blind, and then you can just anchor if it's not aggro.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably just keep bell and send everything if
All
I'm
right.
blind.
All right. Perfect. We're off to a good.
Yeah,
Well, let's see if I actually do that before I say we're off to a
it
good
looks like
start.
it.
Um. All right. Yeah, we send 6
There you go.
back. So, all right, we're off to a
Yeah.
good start. How did I lose this? Well, all right. So we get our ramp. So
Okay,
feeling pretty good.
that's good.
Yep. All right. So, okay. All right. We can go ahead and do this. Okay, well, there we go. Green, purple, right? So right off the bat,
Okay.
we now know. Now the question just becomes, is it tempo or is it discard? Um,
Well,
but
you saw the green one, so it's most likely tempo, if I had to guess. Or sorry, discard. Because
so,
if they play the green Diablo, they're playing the other one, right? The shift one,
oh, wait,
right?
okay,
Because
so,
because like the tempo one won't play the green Diablo,
oh, because
right?
it's slow, it's
So
slower. Okay.
yeah. So from here, I'm just
Hmm.
guessing it's most likely the discard variant of it. It might not be, but well, you kind of have to take a bet here, right? And like
Yeah.
obviously, you know, it's a green deck, so it's like you ink.
Okay.
the song.
Yep, and that's immediately as soon as I see it's green, I know that unfortunately, as much as I want to keep that friends, I cannot keep that friends. And so
Hmm.
ink the friends and pass turn. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm sure we could all guess what his turn two is probably going to be because they always have it.
Diablo. Same friends. All right.
Because why not? And let's see if he had the Ursula as well. Oh, what a start for him! And that's, ladies and gentlemen, is why we ink the song and going into green. So,
Also, why you don't play Ursula on turn friggin' 2
mm-hmm. As the
against
green purple
Blurple
play,
because it
yes,
does nothing. It does
exactly.
nothing, yeah. Like
So
you just wasted a card basically and
yep,
applied 0 pressure. Yeah, you yank the bell.
yeah,
And then you just TPO. I think it's fine to TPO the
the Hades.
80s there. Yeah, just because it's really far away. And
Mm-hmm.
you kind of want all these cards in your hand right now.
Yep. So looking at my
Hmm.
hand, like I'm feeling pretty good about it. I mean, I got the genie on 4, so that's gonna be able to let me take out the Diablo, the bell to move damage, the Finders Keepers to draw cards. Like it feels really good. So, um,
Yeah, I mean, Iago would be even better.
yes, it would. All right, another Ana.
Which
So
you can freely ink now.
yes. Fun fact: I do not see Tamatoa in any of these 3 games ever in my altar or anything. No, I saw it in that first altar. So there. Never mind.
Oh, look, Iago, there we
There's
go.
Iago. Really, really wanted this. So I was really happy about this one. I have an answer for the Diablo now if he turns sideways. So
Hmm.
again, it's feeling pretty safe right now. So
Yep. And you don't have to worry about drawing cards right now because
mm,
they still haven't showed that they are discard yet.
correct.
And then, yeah, so now we're just kind of waiting to see like if they're going to discard you or not.
Mm-hmm. A lot of cards going in that hand though. So, but we have a lot of
Yep.
cards too. So it's not the end of the world.
Yep. And you play Iago, I hope, just to control the board first right now, just because
Mm-hmm.
they have a lot. And if they Elsa and hit your genie, that would be bad if you don't have Iago out. So
Correct. Now, if
good
he,
thing you put it out.
seeing that he has Genie and Peter Pan, if he had turned his Diablo sideways, do I take out the Diablo
Yeah.
every time? Okay. All right.
Yeah. But he's obviously not going to quest. I
When I
mean,
have Genie down.
because like you're going on turn 5.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's why he used Ursula to look at your hand to see if you had Elsa or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because normally going to turn 5, if you don't quest your Diablo, or Elsa's going to take it out anyway, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So there's 5, and there's the Elsa.
There's, as we expected, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to take out Genie. Uh, Probably Peter Pan and Elsa probably goes into it. Oh, okay. Um, guess he wants to keep his Peter Pan alive instead of the Genie, but I feel like he should have gone for the lore instead. And
Oh, and he
he's
just turns it
quest.
sideways. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay then. Um, a little confused about the plays right now. Why wouldn't he quest last turn if he was gonna quest this turn? So you take out Genie, and then you're probably gonna bell his Diablo, if I had to guess.
Yes, and I'm hoping that is what I tell him to do. So yeah. All right. So
Yes.
I have a full Iago. Again, so
Hey.
unfortunately, and if
You got to ink here though.
I do have to ink, so now okay,
I think it's fine to ink Anna here
okay, all right.
because you don't have the Elsa. Because
Mm-hmm.
like you could kind of like people are like, well, like I think a lot of people struggle with using Anna because they try to force her too much
Mm-hmm.
when it's not there. It's kind of like treat Anna as like Popsicle Bell. Like if you don't have You don't have the Elsa. You don't have to force the Ana here,
Yeah. Okay.
right? And right now you're not ahead on the board yet, so Ana isn't really going to seal the game for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? As opposed to if he didn't have Peter Pan or one of those characters, you could probably develop your Ana because you're already in a position where you're winning and you just want to make sure you win.
Okay. All right. No,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And so going back a second, because we see that he has 5 cards in hand. He had the genie and he had the Diablo. Do you
Mhm.
think the move was ever push Iago into Peter Pan to shut down his Iago that he could possibly have in his hand?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, where he turned it sideways. So I
I
think that
was
was a
gonna say,
misplay on his part.
yeah, like, cause okay, so it seemed like he wanted to save the damage on Peter Pan and use
Hmm.
Genie instead.
Yeah.
Um, oh yeah, and this kind of goes back to like the Peter Pan we talked about earlier. It's like in these two decks, Peter Pan doesn't really do very much apart from give Iago Rush, whereas in
Hmm.
Red Purple you have Shark. So there's actually like good payoff apart from just making an Iago have Rush
Yeah.
because it's good, but it's not that good either.
Yeah.
But in this spot, right? Because you have the Iago down, you kind of have control of the board. I think attacking Peter Pan there would make more sense.
Yep.
Um, because then it's like if he does have Iago, well, that would kind of suck for you.
Yeah, because he can kind of just take the game at that point. So, and
Yeah, because he can take it out with Elsa and the Iago, right?
mm,
Because the genie's like it has 2 damage already, like you can just kind of leave it there
mm-hmm.
because he shouldn't quest his genie into you anyway.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally started questing the Tipo because I realized why not? I might as well, if he wants to, take it out, you do something, so be it. It's not like it's going to be doing anything else. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine to quest Tipo here.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. But yeah, I didn't realize until now that
If
I
he rushes
probably,
an Iago, that would be bad,
yes.
but we'll see. Like, okay, it's not that bad because like he loses his Elsa and his Iago has 2 damage still,
Mm-hmm.
or sorry, 4 damage on it. But then you have no way to clear his Iago,
Correct. Yeah.
and it's kind of off curve if he does it here with 6 ink. So we'll see what he does.
But no Iago.
Okay, so now he shows that.
He is definitely discard.
Is he making a discard?
He is. He is. So.
Okay. Okay, so now you know it's discard, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's just like, great. He can't quest anything. Well, he can quest his Ursula and let it die, but like, he can't really quest his evasives here.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So now I know what my next
Yep.
move has to be, and that feels pretty good as well. So. Okay.
So
All
why
the
did you
bells.
decide to sing with
So
Belle?
okay, so here's my thinking in that one is I was worried about Iago coming down with Rush. So I wanted to keep my evasive alive because evasive is the Iago is letting me trade into things to get Bell value. So that's why I kind of
Mm.
wanted to go that route over if he goes into Bell, then what is he going to send into Bell to remove it? I guess if he has Crab, Fox as well, both. But it, and so that was kind of my thinking is keep the Iago alive so I have
Mm.
the ability for Bell to move damage counters.
Right.
Right or wrong? Do you
Okay.
think getting the
I would
two
have sang
lore?
with Iago.
Yeah. Okay.
I would have sang with Iago because generally you don't want to sing with 2 questers.
Okay. All right. So just get the lore
It's like
essentially.
you're playing Steel Song and you sing with a 2 quester. Feels kind of bad.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point. So sitting on 6 ink. So now I
Right, because
have.
then like here, if you sang with the Iago, you could just quest with the Bell this turn
Mm-hmm.
for 2, and then you just drop Hades on the Peter Pan, and then
Exactly. And so now I'm
and then
wondering,
you're probably fine.
I'm probably sitting there right now thinking, do I Hades the Peter Pan or do I play Finders Keepers, being afraid of discard and letting that kind of dictate my choices here. So I think.
You see, the thing about this card is that he has 4 cards in hand.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Right? He has 4 cards in hand. This is the first time he's discarded you. I
Yes.
doubt he's holding that much discard in his hand. Well, unless he's literally was holding it for this moment. But if you Hades here, you kind of have control of the board already. Because, like, you have Belle, Iago, Tipo, Hades to his Ursula, Prince John, and Elsa. So it's like you've already have control of the board. You have bigger characters. If you go to 0, you can just top deck from there and probably.
I used the Finders Keepers, and it looks like I used I drew a Popsicle, used the Iago to take out Ursula, and then at the last second before I passed turn, healed the Iago for the 1. So ultimately,
How come it looks like you're missing a card?
I am missing a card.
Did you even forget to draw?
I only drew 2 off of the Finders Keepers.
Yeah, you only drew 2.
Well, that was silly.
Either that or you didn't draw off the Popsicle, one of them.
Yeah, one or the other. So, well, there we go. That's a pretty big misplay. Not the catastrophic one I was thinking of, but a good misplay. So here, though, I get punished for not going the Hades route to take out the Peter Pan because Iago comes down, takes out my Iago, and then now he can kind of just do whatever he wants at this point. So,
well, yes and no, because you can still clear his stuff here.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see what I decide to do. 7 ink. What do you think is the right play before we see mine?
Well, we should have Hades last turn already.
Yeah.
And this wouldn't have happened.
Exactly.
But here you probably still just Hades.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it looks like I'm gonna move damage. So
well, I don't think you need to get rid of Peter Pan at this point. Like, you could just like Hades and then keep inking up, and then you could just like, and then you could Bell, and yeah, questing the Bell here is fine. But then you could, you could move damage next turn.
Yeah.
Technically.
I think the catastrophic misplay, though, in my opinion, was the last turn where I decided to not take out the Peter Pan, knowing he runs Iago, because like you said, I'd have a Hades on the board. Like, I'd have a much different board right now where he wouldn't have the board right now if I had just Hades the Peter Pan. So especially where I had
or
all
just
these
hitting
bells.
the Peter Pan earlier when you quested into the Iago.
Exactly. So and then from here, though, yeah, things go a little bit downhill pretty quickly. But he has so many characters. Essentially, what ends up happening at this point is just a lot of things that I can't interact with. Or I can because I have Hades, but...
so he just kind of gets too wide and you can't deal with anything?
Exactly. That Hades coming down, dealing with one at a time. But I think there, I could have done the Iago instead of the Diablo. Do you think if I
because you can't do anything with Iago on the board.
Exactly. And I think I even passed this turn without it questing because they had a Iago as there, kind of just holding me back. So
yeah, it just kind of freezes your board, right? Yep. And then from here, it's just like, because they have control of the board now, they probably just start going wide here with everything they have.
Yep. So luckily they only have one card in hand.
The board.
Yeah, they only have one card in hand, but he has a Prince John down. So if he sees any discard at all, then he can start doing that. But again, we see the Genie. So luckily I have a Hades that can answer it, but he still has 4 characters down. So
Yep. Well, the main thing here was that you lost tempo in this
Mm-hmm.
matchup, and you're not controlling the evasive war.
Correct. Yep.
They are because of the Iago.
Mm-hmm.
So because they're controlling the board now and not you, they're able to be aggressive,
Mm-hmm. And that brings up
right?
a
Whereas if you remember when you had Iago on the board and they didn't, you were able to be aggressive.
yeah, correct. So, and I think I pick up right here at this point, seeing how wide his
I
board
would.
is.
It's
So,
over.
but it brings up a good point. I was reading. I didn't read the updates to the guide before going into this match to kind of play it a little bit more, natural, right?
Hmm.
And one of the things when I was reading the guide right before our video for Green Purple is, you talk about secret uninkables a lot. And in the guide for Green Purple, there are no secret uninkables. And the reason for that is the whole point, the whole thing you're trying to do is get the board. And we
Hmm.
saw in that game what happened when I never took control of the board. All stemming back to giving the Peter Pan
Well,
the
you did
ability.
actually. You did control the board at one point. You
I
just
just
gave it away.
I attacked the wrong character. Yep. So yeah,
Or you didn't Hades the thing that you needed to Hades, and then
exactly.
you lost the board after that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So a couple learning things in there. All right, a couple learning opportunities because I had a good hand. I had a really good hand. But speaking of hands, let's talk about game two. This time I'm on the play. I know that I'm against a green purple discard player, so we'll just kind of talk about the
Hmm.
altar really quick in this one, and then we can kind of jump into game three because, like I said, game three, uh, there were some really interesting turns that I think are worth talking about. But so looking at the hand, I have my ramp. I'm pretty happy. Uh, and I see a friends and a bell. So being on the play, I
Hmm.
get that opportunity if I see a popsicle. And then I see an Iago,
Hmm.
which I know again really good into green purple, as well as Elsa. So I
Hmm.
think that I think what goes through my head as I look at these is I want to only send the Ana back. But if I only send the Ana back, then that I probably won't see Popsicle. So if I don't see Popsicle, that kind of makes Bell and Friends useless. So,
Hmm.
I really I don't remember what I end up doing here. Maybe Bell and Ana.
I would probably just send Anna your bells and your friends back. Like,
Okay.
okay, you can keep this hand here, but
Mm-hmm.
like if you don't hit the popsicle on the next two cards, you're not gonna bell anyway.
Correct. Yep.
So it's like pretty unlikely. So I'm probably just sending everything else,
And
like the friends and the bell as well, and
yeah,
just keeping Iago, Tipo, and Elsa.
I think you can see I'm really struggling with it because I think what's going through my head right now is what more do I really want in out of this hand, right? Like what more do I want to see? Maybe the mm, I guess that's the question, right? They're inkables that I could have kept. They're like, what more would I want in this hand where I have the Tipo to go into the Iago to go into the Elsa? But I do send back the four, so I'm doing pretty good with altars so far. But yeah, what more? What more would you
Yeah,
want to see in this hand that you do want to just send back four?
nothing really. I mean, a
Yeah.
popsicle, sure, but like, kind of like we talked about with Anna, like we don't want to force it if it's not there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
so yeah, that's kind of the altar. We'll look at the what I draw here in a second. We'll move to game three because the game goes pretty quick. He picks up I think as it should against green purple, as especially when you can get that Iago down on four. You see the ramp that you need into
Right.
the Elsa. Like I have everything I need here, and then I guess Finders
Yeah.
Keepers. That's the card that I want to see. Because that feels really good knowing he's on discard because green
Yeah.
discard decks, especially green purple, I think that's their on the draw win route, right? Is to get the Prince John down, make you discard your hand, and then kind of get back into it. Um, so yeah, I like the
Yep.
hand, pretty good.
Yep.
So
Yeah. You. Yeah.
all
We
right,
hang bell and pass.
mm-hmm.
Go from there.
Yep, and then from the guide, right? You want the Tipo against the green purple, so you ink the sail, go Tipo. So yeah, pretty good game going into this one. So we'll jump to game 3 though, and kind of go through that. And while we find, there we go. What do you think? Scale 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. What do you think the matchup is? Do you think we're favored into green purple or unfavored into green purple?
Yeah, like Blurple is one of the hardest matches for a green purple discard.
Mm-hmm. Just
So yeah,
because we
it's
draw
definitely
so much,
favored.
right? And so much evasives.
Well, and also Iago, like they literally have no way to deal with it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So here is my opening move goat. All right.
Okay, so
No.
now you have it. So now you can keep your now you can keep Bell Pop because you have the opener.
Yes. Yep. So I can keep the bell pop. I have plenty of ramp. I don't really care about fox and goat in this.
Oh.
So off the bat, I'm curious. I have a feeling I don't keep Tipo though. Again, I didn't read your guide
No,
beforehand,
because right
so.
now you know the matchup,
Mhm.
right? You are really looking for Iago.
Mhm.
Um, so and you already have Sail to ramp with, so that's when I would send more away, like my
Okay.
other
Yeah.
um ramp cards. Because normally I tell you before, it's just like I like to hold all my ramp cards
Mhm.
at the beginning of the game. Because it's easy ink, right? So like you can
Correct.
still make a case to keep Tipo here. I don't think it's incorrect
Mhm.
not to, like if people approach it different ways. But with being on the draw and how important seeing Iago is in this matchup, I would probably send as much as possible to find Iago.
Mhm.
Just because you also only have 8 uninkables in the deck, the odds are you're probably not going to brick
Yeah.
very hard.
No, good
Yeah.
point. So
So
would you have sent back the Elsa as well, or?
no, you need it. You need
Okay.
also you need
All
all
right.
the evasives in this matchup.
Yes. Okay.
So
All right.
here I'm just really fishing for evasives. That's
Okay.
it.
All right. Perfect. And I think that's kind of the route I'm going. Sail helps me find that evasive. It helps me get another card against
Mm-hmm.
discard. So feeling pretty good, right? Um, Now looking at my
Yeah, it's
opening,
not bad.
yeah, like my opening hand here. Unfortunately, no 4-drop, and that's gonna lead to some of the interesting ink choices, and interesting plays, especially
Right.
going to turn 3. That I'll be curious about what you
Right.
think. So.
Well, that's where having Tipo in your opener was be good because that's
Mhm.
just your first ink to play pop.
Yeah. Yep. But we do have
So
the finders keepers,
we'll
so
see how.
again, pretty happy about that. So.
Yep.
Um,
We just need to control the board first.
yep. And no 1-drop, so feeling pretty good. We're pretty lucky off the bat.
That's
So
pretty good.
now
Okay, you
here's
drew a
where
sail,
things,
which is pretty good
yes,
too.
yes, because here's where things get really interesting, and I think I messed up on turn 1 because I'm about to ink this sail. And why I think this was a mistake is I think that where I don't have a 4-drop, I think I should have just double ramped to go to Elsa. Um, what do you think about
Well,
that?
that's risky though because um against discard they could just discard your hand. So if you double ramp, you're thinning your hand out a lot.
Okay, so yeah, no, that it, that is a good point, and I think because I think if I did go double ramp, then I can't play Bell right on turn 1 because I need to keep that
No,
4
you can't.
ink. So, but
You don't need to play Bell because they're not putting on any aggression here.
correct. Now I do play Bell, and my reasoning behind playing Bell is if I top deck friends.
But
Um,
you can wait, right? You can wait to um to do it because going to turn 2, that's when they play Ursula anyway, and they see there's nothing. So
Yeah, but if so turn 2 if they okay. Yep, clear. I get it. I get it. So yeah, I could have just kept the bell 4 ink there if I wanted another turn just in case, right? So that makes sense. I see what you're
uh
saying now.
yep.
And there's the Ursula. So,
Because yeah, you do that. They assume you have friends, right? If you
mhm.
just put Bell out there, which sure you can say you baited the guy.
Yeah,
um,
that was the plan the whole time.
but now it's like you don't want to. Well, you can Inca finders because you have two, so that's
Mhm.
fine. And then you just sail pop,
Well,
and hopefully you find more.
so this is where I think I get scared. I get intimidated by discard because I want to sail pop, but I don't want to get rid of my Elsas and I don't want to get rid of the Finders Keepers because again, Finders Keepers just so good against discard.
You
But
don't need two though.
exactly, because I think if you're spending a bunch of turns playing Finders Keepers, you're not fighting for board. So I think that was an opportunity where I could have just inked that Finders Keepers to play the pop, like you said.
Right.
So
Well, remember, Popsicle draws you a card too.
mm-hmm,
So then
exactly.
your hand size would still be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would just play Popsicle here, and then just you'll have more cards than you do now.
Yep.
You would have 6 cards in hand instead of 5 right now
Exactly.
if you just
Played the pop.
right, and then that's like 1 extra draw to find a 4-drop because you don't
Mm-hmm.
have one right now.
Don't quest with the
And then you
bell.
could have held.
Go ahead.
I mean, he can crab it and like whatever, but
Yeah. I think my reasoning for not questing is I wanted the friends target in case I did top deck that friends at any point.
yeah, I
So
think it's fine because you have Elsa's in hand. Well, Elsa's not coming down to 2 turns later.
mm-hmm.
But if we inked the first finders here, you could have just sailed and then play Popsicle, and
Mm-hmm.
then you potentially could have double ramped
Mm-hmm.
potentially into an Ana, and then you use Elsa to start taking over the
Mm-hmm.
board.
No,
Yeah.
that's a good point. So, but here do get lucky. I
Okay, so you
do.
did top deck your
Yeah.
friends.
So we do see the friends. Look, still just praying. I see a 4-drop, and I see
Well,
the
you got
the
one.
4-drop I didn't want to see. So here
It's
again,
fine.
I think uh I'm about to ink the
Ink
Finders
the finders.
Keepers and guess what I don't end up doing. So again, not fighting for board like I should have. Um and I think
Yep. Well,
again,
you gotta fight for board
mm-hmm,
control, but at the same time, it's like usually if you have 2 of the same card, you can pretty safely ink it.
mm-hmm,
Maybe except Elsa in this matchup because Elsa kind of fights for the board
yep,
technically.
there it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you inked your only 4-drop uh, to play nothing.
Exactly. So to do absolutely nothing, and that's it eats me up. And you saw the whole time I'm like messing with that Finders Keepers, telling myself, yeah, this is the play, this is what I want to do. And then at the last minute, I'm just like, nope, like we're not gonna go that route. So now we see the Diablo come down, and Iago,
And now you're in trouble.
yes, because he has board.
Now you have to ink your finders if you haven't already.
Mm-hmm.
Because he still doesn't have Prince John out, so he's not discarding you, right? Just
Exactly.
remember that.
But just oh, that Finders Keeper is gonna be the bane of my existence. So, but
For today.
for today, yes, because it won't be
For
anymore
today.
because now I know how to play it better. So here, Iago
Yeah,
can
like
trade very
that's why
easily.
I think people think the card sucks too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are like, I don't like Finders Keepers, I never use it. I think you just use it at the wrong time.
Yeah, I agree. So here, my internet disconnects, and then we're back. And you see he dropped a Prince John, Diablo, and he traded into my Elsa. So a little bit of a fast forward.
Okay,
So he
that's
knows what's
fine.
in my hand now. Draw Fox, not really any use in this matchup. But again, I'm feeling pretty good about my hand. I really like it. I can set up that Ana, which is what I'm hopefully about to do
Yep.
because my Elsa can't do anything to his board. So
Yep.
So still
Setting
in
up
a good
Ana here is fine.
position. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then he's only on one card, so that feels pretty good. So yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm sitting on 4 cards, 2 finders keepers. I'm feeling like I'm in the driver's position right now. So, and then let's see. There goes his Iago for, well, there's Bruno. So there's my Ana. And of course he'll get to draw a card, but that's kind of just his turn. So still not awful. Takes my Ana, unfortunately, but that's life.
Yep.
All
You
right.
draw Hades here, which
Yep.
is great because
Which
you can
is
just Hades
phenomenal.
Iago and then you're back in the game.
Exactly. So
Ink the Finders.
please, please ink the finders.
Well, because like if you look at your hand here, you're behind, right, on
Correct.
board
Mm-hmm.
and tempo. So you want to be holding your bells and Elsas because that's how you
Gain it
regain
back.
control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because like you can't draw cards until you're ahead anyway.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's like a lot of people I was saying like have a hard time with finders because they just don't use it at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like you really just don't use
Gosh,
finders unless
bless
you're
it.
ahead.
Oh my goodness gracious. Um. All right. Well, we
Because like
get
when are you playing 2 finders, right? Is the question.
exactly, exactly. So, takes the bell out with Ursula or
Which
Diablo,
is
which is
whatever.
fine. Yeah. And there's a third finders.
Right. Well, now you can draw cards
Yes.
because you have nothing else to do.
Another Hades feels good. Get rid of the sale, and then probably a free quest. Yep.
I mean,
So
you could have just inked the finders and played the sale too.
yeah, just for the extra draw, or dig.
Just to kind of, yeah, because I mean, you had the ink, right? If you
Yeah.
already ink finders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens
Oh,
here.
gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So play. He's on no. He's top decking at this point, praying for discard. Um.
I would just
So
finders again and play Yago,
yep.
which I hope that's what you did.
Yep.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah. So Ink of Friends, don't
You
need
can ink
that.
a friends. That's
Yep.
fine.
And then quest for 2 and get a Yago down. So feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. He's in top deck
Yeah,
mode.
we're in a pretty good spot again.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's probably the best card he could have seen in this situation. So throws down that Ursula.
You could have
So
made an argument to finally ink your finders. Your last one
over
there.
the
Like keep 2
friends.
friends.
Yeah.
Like you keep 2 of them. Because if he does play Ursula, you can just he takes one, but you can still use the other.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So here his board's getting a little big, but I know he's never gonna start doing anything with those
They're all
Prince
weak.
Johns. Yeah, exactly. They're all
Yeah,
baby
they're weak.
characters. I think
But he didn't do anything?
nope, didn't quest or anything. Because I think he's hoping for discard to get him back in the game at this point. So holding on to those Prince Johns
Okay.
is my
Well, now
guess.
you just got to pressure, right? You
Exactly.
just got to go Elsa, Iago, and just start slamming his board, not draw more cards.
Mm-hmm.
So just Iago and Elsa here, and just control the board
Oh.
fully.
And I think so. This was a conversation we had the other day in the Discord that somebody was talking about just drawing too much, and that's exactly what I did
You're not
here.
doing anything, right? Like
Exactly.
you're winning the game. Just win the just win the game, right? Instead of drawing cards, because you
Yes.
just need to win. All right. Because like if your board was Hades, Iago, Elsa,
What's he going to do?
nothing.
Exactly. So
So yes, the finders kind of got you back into the game here.
mm-hmm.
But you're still behind on the board,
Mm-hmm.
technically.
Correct. So another Diablo, and I think he trades into Elsa here.
I mean, he has to do something.
Yeah.
because your ink totals are getting a bit too high, and you can just start playing everything
Exactly.
from your hand.
Okay, so he does take out
He
Iago.
takes out Iago. Right. And this is where you wanted the other Iago down by now.
Mm-hmm.
So here I would probably go like Ana into an Iago
I love it when
because
you
you need to control the board.
yeah, that way he doesn't have a way to come back because
Yeah, like you still have to control the board right now, right?
correct. And Ana and
Yeah.
Iago
Like
like
sure, like you're getting a lot of ore, a lot of lore right now,
mm-hmm.
but like if you go Ana Iago, he can't do anything. There's nothing he can do to stop you. Like
Mm-hmm.
he can't attack your stuff either. And
Correct.
then just start tapping everything with um Elsa.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Like with Ana out, and you start tapping with Elsa, you start hitting things with Iago or Elsa, and just start removing everything. Well, you don't have to remove anything really. You just remove his Elsa. The
Mm-hmm.
other stuff are useless, right? You just keep trading in, and then you, um, yeah, because like still you have to win the evasive battle, right, against purple
Correct.
decks
Mm-hmm.
with Blurple. Yeah, you have to control the evasive war, which right now we still don't have control of it, and we also don't have control of the board still.
Mm-hmm.
But he still can't do anything, as you can see,
Yeah. So
right? So you go Genie here.
plop down the other genie at this point.
All right, so you chose to race him instead.
At this point, yeah, where I had the two goats down, essentially going to 16
Yep, at this
lore.
point you're at
So
12-1. You just race.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
So yeah, and then at this point, yeah, there's nothing. I don't
yeah.
think
You
there's
still
anything
won.
we
There's
can do.
nothing he can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, still nothing he can do. Um, it's just like we probably could have cleaned up the gameplay a little bit. Like your
Mm-hmm.
opponent probably, well, definitely could have cleaned up some of the gameplay too with some of the choices that he made. Um, but like it's more so we want to make sure that you guarantee that you win
Exactly.
rather than like risking it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, because you could have just unloaded your goats later.
Mm-hmm.
Once the Iagos are out and he can't do anything, then you just go genies, and then you can quest the genies forever because he can't attack you
Mm-hmm.
because of Iago. And you can spam your goats and things like that. So
No, I completely agree, and that's always what it comes down to, right? Is like even if you get a win, the whole point behind practice is how could you have gotten the win faster? How could you have gotten the win better, more cleanly? And there we saw
yeah,
again just how many different ways I could have gotten that win better. Even in game one, I probably could have gone 2-0 if I had just,
yeah,
done
you should
things
have.
a lot differently. So yeah,
Yeah, you should have won 2-0 for sure.
yeah.
But it's okay. I mean, that's why you practice to, and that's why you record your games to learn and get better because you need to know what mistakes you made in order to improve. Because,
Mm-hmm.
like, I know it's hard for a lot of people to look at their mistakes
Mm-hmm.
because no one wants to admit they're wrong
Yeah.
and it hurts the ego, right? But, like, if you really want to improve, you gotta do the hard thing and look at yourself in the
Yeah.
mirror and right look at your own gameplay and see where you went wrong because it's like any professional athlete, like I should not say any, all professional athletes review game tape,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right? Why? Because you look at what you did wrong and what
Mm-hmm.
you could have done better, because everyone falls into patterns that they might not well, that's why they're patterns, because you don't realize that you're doing them,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like habits that you need to break, right? Be so and like if you don't see that you're doing it, um, it's hard to improve.
It
That's
is.
why it's also hard at the same time because you have to face reality that you are not as good as you think you are, because you have to look in the mirror,
Yeah.
right, and look at
Yeah.
your own gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. And that's, it's one of the things that I value so much about these is that, uh, again, I got the win, but there was just even in the game that I won, there was what in the first turn there was a better option. In the first two turns, there were multiple better
Yeah.
options that I could have gone with. So, but that leads me to my next thing. You know, if someone was to talk to you and reach out for coaching, how much different is coaching going to be from doing this kind of thing where I already played the game. You know, how are things? Is it just going to be kind of a live thing, or how is that going to look differently for people?
I think it depends on the person
Okay.
because everyone learns differently, right?
Mm.
So
Mhm.
some people learn better by doing, some people learn better by observing and watching first. Some people like to watch and then apply what they learned. Some people like to review, right? Everyone's a little different, right? And that's where I think coaching can really, or getting the right coach, I think for yourself is the most important if you're looking to improve,
Mhm.
because not every coach has that kind of philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Some people are just like, this is how I do things, like you just got to meet me where I'm at. Some people are, way too advanced, and then like you're not understanding the concepts, because not everyone is a good teacher, right? And not every good player can teach. That's just how it is. That's why, like, even in sports, like the coaches on the team are not always the best players on the team,
Yeah. Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Everyone's a good teacher. So it's just like you got to find the coach that has the right philosophy that you have and what you're looking for. A lot of times I also talk about, like, it's kind of like therapy when you're looking for a therapist. Like, not every therapist is right for you, but you got to find the one that works for you, right? And I think that's the most important part when you're looking for a coach is like who can help you um, improve. It's not about finding the best player out there because they might not be the right coach for you,
Yeah. No.
right?
Hey, that's in that. There couldn't be better advice in that. So with that, you know, ladies and gentlemen, again, yeah, JDR, an amazing person, a really great guy. You know, he's the person that pretty much taught me how to play the game and helped me get into uh, a place where I could play competitively very early on when I first started playing the game. So always a pleasure to have you on, man. Again, if you guys wanted to check him out, he's got the flower farm. You can reach him on Discord at JDRR. And then you can also go to the guide, and I'm sure the Discord link is in the guide. Is that correct? Or
Yes, yes. Well, the to get into Flower Farm Discord, you have to be a sub on Metafy.
okay, gotcha. Okay.
Right, to get into Flower Farm. So if they want to support, they
Mm-hmm.
can go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Otherwise, they can also find me on Twitter because I actually have an X
That
account now.
that's right. You are a tweeter now. I've seen you on there a couple times. So you were talking about dump
You
truck
know
the other
why?
day. So well, perfect,
Dumpy is
man.
my boy. He's my
I
hero.
I know he is. I was just talking about him yesterday in my video. So, but yeah, he's a great guy. With that though, man, any last words? Any closing remarks?
um. Well, shout out to the flower farm, the people who are always engaging every month,
Mm,
or not every month, every day. Because without everyone's support, this wouldn't be possible. I
mm-hmm.
wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to help other people, um, you know, get better at the game and do what I love here.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to SLTC because over there, that's where we get a lot of testing done, but
Mm-hmm.
also talk a lot about strategy, high level things.
Yeah.
And without that group, I don't think I would be as good of a player. Well, I don't think I'm that good anyway, but I would not be nearly at the level I'm at now if it weren't for that group.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something that we talked about today actually in SLTC is just like, um, if you find yourself, if it's not about how, well, yes, a lot of people are skilled individually,
Mm-hmm.
but if you have a group that can push you and force you to improve, like you literally just get better because
Yeah.
you are in an environment where they're always trying to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
like, you know how the thing where people say it's like you're like the five people you're um
always hanging
I
around
guess you're
with, or
closest to,
yeah,
always
yep,
hanging
yep.
around, right?
Hmm.
So if you're always hanging around people better than you, right? If I'm hanging around Sailor, if I'm hanging around Ed, if I'm hanging around LD, you know, Attack for Two, like all these, you know, top players out there, like you are gonna get better
Yeah.
if you are hanging around people like great minds, right? And that's where like the Flower Farm too is just like, because everyone says like when they join Flower Farm, they just get they just get better,
Yeah. Hmm.
right? And that's because of the community and the group that you're in, because everyone's pushing each other and you're learning,
Yeah.
right? And that's really what it is. You're speeding up what you learn. You can, like we talked about this before, like I think on our very first video,
Hmm.
you can learn everything and you can get better, but do you want to take the plane to Hawaii or do you want to walk? You will
Yeah.
get there eventually. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take you.
Hmm. No,
So
I
shout outs
completely
to those
agree.
two groups because, you know, without those two groups, I don't even know if I would be playing Lorcana right now.
Yeah.
Right. So shout out to them. And obviously shout out to you as well for always having me on, keeping it real, and appreciate you as well.
Hey, well, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it, and like I said, it's always a pleasure. So I think though with that, that's gonna be the video, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely let me know if you see anything in the comments, or if you see anything that you have more questions about. Let me know in the comments. I'll reach out to JD, and we can, you know, get you an educated answer from the sensei himself. You can again find him on his Metafy, so on and so forth. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video, and remember, always stay happy and healthy. And I'll see you next time.